All right, supposed to have an early morning show. I am here. Here. Ah, crap. I may not make it for my early morning show. What the hell? Oh well, let's try. Happy Sunday morning and welcome. Another early morning show. Always an exciting time, isn't it? We're starting a new week. Had beautiful weather this week. Cool stuff to go. But first, when I flew into Cincinnati this week and I went to Avis to get my car. They give me my car and I go out to my slot and looking around, no keys, there's no contract. Well, what's kind of odd. So I go back to the guy and go, hey, what's up, man? I can't, I have no keys, no nothing for this car. So and he's actually the manager of the lot. And he starts calling around and walkie-talkie and everything and chit-chat, chit-chat, chit-chat. So he comes back, Mr. Carlson, we apologize. We're going to have to give you a different vehicle. We're like, well, why? What's up? He goes, well, the vehicle we were going to give you has bullet holes in it. And so we can't let you have that. Now, first I was, bullet holes. Wouldn't that be kind of cool to be driving around and go, yeah, man, I'm a badass. I said, really? Wow. He goes, well, it's not as bad. Down in Louisville, Kentucky, they just returned one. They had bullet holes, but also had blood. Ours didn't have blood. Well, that is awesome. So it gave me this big upgrade, but man, wow, I've never had that one happen before. Went back and looked, sure as hell, bullet holes. Cool. I don't know. Probably wasn't cool for the person driving. I don't know where that person was driving around, but I guess it wasn't the best neighborhood in the world. So who knows? But wow. Fall's in full swing here in Michigan. Man, the colors. Oh my God. We're at probably peak week. Either this week or next week is going to be peak week. So the wife and I are trying to get out, doing some little walks, and enjoying the colors. So pretty nice. Okay, no cat today. Decided to go out. It's pretty nice outside. So he just went right on out. So screw him, right? I picked up this book today, The Virgin. No, it's not about virgins. The Virgin Encyclopedia of the 80s. There's a lot of crap that happened in the 80s. According to Q Magazine, very possibly the best rock reference ever. Possibly. Rolling Stone, this is musical history in the making. So, exciting words. And if you like tiny little print. Now, what I don't appreciate about this is it's more just about the group, not much about the albums itself, though they do rank them. Really, I mean, it's a good reference guide. I gotta give, say for that. So as I would buy a group from the 80s, this is a great source. Instead of having to go through the inconvenience of going to the internet and Googling it and Wikipedia crap, I can have the luxury of pulling out a big ass book and read about it instead that way. So someday. And I grabbed this. These are at the half price bookstore. Reggae, the Rough Guides, all that. So nice. There was a neat biography on Philip Glass that I had in my hands, but then I said, I've never even listened to Philip Glass yet, so I should probably buy something of his to listen before I read this cool-looking biography. And I figure it's going to be there for a while, but they had like 3 of them. So those were the pickups. Finally, in the mail, well, about a week ago or so, I received a cassette, which I do not have a cassette player anymore. That went along with every single cassette I own, so... but this was part of a box set for the Lou Reed reissue of The Dirty Boulevard, New York. I didn't get the album, but I got the cassette. I go, what? It shipped separately. Finally, though, it came. And this has been shown, so I'm not going to go into great length. This is my favorite Lou Reed album. This is the one, when this came out, and it was one of the, toward the very end when I was buying albums, due to the fact that I couldn't buy them anymore because nobody had them, this album I found just incredible. I thought the songwriting of Lou Reed was phenomenal. He told such great stories. His voice was just perfect. Guitar playing was fierce. And just the songs. I mean, maybe some of it could be dated now when you think about 1989 in New York versus New York now. It is a different place. But, you know, Reed just has a great way of creating a story. So it was totally a terrific album. It has all the lyrics in here. There have demos, things that weren't released. There's a live show. And also a DVD, so it's 3 CDs, 1 DVD, and then the actual album, vinyl, New York, is in 2 separate albums. So I just, again, one of those incredible albums. I saw this was being reissued. I did save my vinyl of it, but I don't have the cover, so I was super excited to be able to get this and put it back in because it was in my top 100. And for me, a really important album. So ready for some meat and potatoes. You know, after 5 minutes in, we'll move right along. I got 6 needle drops again today. How I'm doing my needle drops now, I'm finding there's a lot more that I can do, and I hope I'm not giving you too many. But it just, for some of this music, it's, you know, you probably haven't heard it before, so I just want you to give you a taste of it. And maybe you have, and I'm the only one that hasn't. All right, so let's begin with Verkey's. All right, Verkey's Orchestra Vive. Oh my God, I'm sure that's got to be French. There you go. Read it, say it, however you need, okay? This guy, Mr. Dynamite, he comes out of the Congo. We haven't talked about the Congo, have we? From the 70s. His name is George Matea Manga. I mean, we're telling this is the last name that has like 50 letters in it. I mean, it just kind of goes on. Applications must have been hell to fill out. He came to the attention of James Brown in the 70s. George Foreman and Muhammad Ali were going to fight in Zaire. Rumble in the Jungle. My God, that was big. I still remember that. But I believe it was Foreman or one of those two. They got hurt, and they had to put it off for a month. So they did. And now, but they also had this music festival, and James Brown had been invited. They didn't tell James Brown, hey, this has been put off. So James Brown still came down because they just wanted to get him there for this music. And he heard, oh man, it's been put off for a month. Well, instead of going back, Brown says, I'm just going to stay in Africa. And he began to tour. And he heard George's here play. And he was blown away. And he gave him the nickname Mr. Dynamite. And so it was kind of cool that James Brown got highly influenced on his trip through Africa, because Africa just had incredible music, and a lot of it had that James Brown feel. So when you listen to this, I mean, he at times has this James Brown swagger to him, and on some of the songs you can hear the bass, and it just has that sweaty kind of energy that you get off of Brown. They play, a lot of the music is called kind of like a Congolese rumba, is best to describe it. And it's filled with horns and congas. And these congas, I mean, they're nuts. They go out of this world. They are so ferocious and strong. Part of it is, what they do is it's, a lot of the guitar playing has a surf guitar sound, and it's called Sukami. Yeah, right, okay. Sukami, we're going to call it that. But it's just this feel and the sound is similar to a surf guitar. Really interesting album. Is this my favorite off of Analog Africa? It's not. I mean, I like this a lot because I like this African music. So, I mean, nothing special there. Cool label. But it was still, it's something from the Congo. It's a specific artist, so it's not a compilation one. And there are some really good songs. There's some of it, there's some songs I go, it's okay. But always enjoyable to pick up one more thing in my Analog Africa group of albums, collection, I guess you could say. There'll be a there'll be a video later this week. Just did Four Corners with Mazzy and Michael from 45 RPM and Michael from Noted and Archived. We talked collecting, and it went long. I was on it. That's pretty much my fault. I'm sure it goes long. It must have been Steve. It was a really fun time and a really interesting video. And I hope you watch it. It's pretty cool. But it's just talks about thoughts on how we collect. So kind of neat. Black Murder. Vinyl Richie sent me this, and really thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. I haven't heard from Vinyl Richie in a while. He's moving. He's quite busy right now. But Black Murder, they came out of Detroit. They were formed in the in the 60s. They broke up around the early 70s, I believe. They only put out maybe 2 albums. I had one of their albums, disappeared, fine, but this one came in. I was really excited. These guys were originally in the 60s, they were called like the Impacts, and then they were called the Soul Agents. The Soul Agents was the name. And they were a backing band, and they backed people like the Spinners, the Temptations, Edwin Starr, the Shalites. Well, then they decided, let's do our own thing, because they were being heavily influenced by Jimi Hendrix and by Cream, to name a few of the Who. So they were taking this hard rock sound, and it just had them fascinated. So they decided, let's just form our own group, and we're going to call ourselves Murder Incorporated. Well, Murder Incorporated was the name of the mob syndicate in Detroit. They wound up changing to Black Murder. They just wanted something that sounded ferocious and fierce, and they put it out. This here is the Psych Funk of Black Murder, and so it's more of a compilation album. And it's great stuff. And you hear it's Hendrix expired. If you like your psych, your hard rock, your late 60s, early 70s hard rock, Black Murder is important. And it's an album. It's something that's really worth getting. Really, really good stuff. They had this group, and the other one out of Detroit was Death that came out. And there's another African American hard rocking group. Good stuff. Both of them reformed. They reformed back in 2005, and Death kind of came around again too. So, yeah, I mean, people found them and finally heard their music. Otherwise, they just died into obscurity. I bought this on Discogs, something I've always wanted. The Pandoras. LA garage rock band, formed in 82 and broke up in 91. Basically, they broke up because the lead singer, Paula Pierce, who was kind of the whole guiding light of it, she died of a brain aneurysm. At age 31. Isn't that sad? So, this is their first album. And this came out in 1984. A lot of people would tell you this is probably the best garage punk album of 1984. It is. It's a wonderful garage album from a girl group, and yes, it's an all-girl group. Really, really neat. Paula Pierce, she formed the group, and it was part of the underground revival that was going on in the 80s, and there was just so many incredibly cool things that came up, and so they formed that thing based on garage rock and psychedelic. Well, the first group, when they released the album and they blew apart, they just blew up, and they went two separate ways. Suddenly there's two Pandoras. Well, that was like someone opened the Pandora box on that one. Eventually, Paula Pierce was able to get the name, and their keyboard player, Gwen Kelly was her name. She formed the Gwenadoras. Gwenadoras, Pandoras, Gwenadoras. Seriously, can we do something a little different? This group, then they put out a few albums. I think only two. They only put out two full-length albums, but they kept breaking up, kept blowing apart. Paula Pierce, I guess, was very, very hard to work with, and she was the one that doing all the writing and everything. It's fun. It's shimmery guitars, bird-like guitars. There is extremely tight harmonies. It kind of has a almost like a blurry haunted house feeling at times, especially the keyboard when you listen to that thing. It does not have that punky feel of X or Cramps that was happening. It was more just a whole different vibe to them. Really great album from the 80s, not that expensive. I bought mine off Discogs. Pulling up a little jazz for those jazz fans. We have this Tenor Madness, the Sonny Rollins Quartet. This came out in 1956. And from what I read, this was the one album in which Sonny Rollins and Coltrane played together. And they have a 12-minute song called Tenor Madness. And it is fun. It's just such a wonderful song. Listen to these two play together. Now, the backing band, the rest of the band on this, this is 56, was Miles Davis's band. It was the whole Miles Davis band, except Miles Davis. Because Rollins did play with Miles Davis. Obviously, Coltrane played with Miles Davis. So you had Philly Joe Jones on drum, Red Garland on piano, Paul Chambers on bass. So just a great backing band was going on. This is just some excellent bop. The sax isn't super fast. It's not like the bebop, super fast, hard to hear. Coltrane, I thought, was more controlled, but sounded really, really good on this. Again, the tenor madness. It's worth the whole thing. Just to get that track and to listen to those two play together. Really enjoyed this. I thought they complemented Coltrane and Rollins complemented each other excellently. The other songs are very, very good, but this incredible album, and so happy to get that. There's some group it's a guy actually, Link Wray. I have never owned a Link Wray album. Here's my first one. And I've seen it shown many times within the VC, but I've never seen it. This thing it's a white album, and it's incredibly clean. It was well taken care of. And then, look at that inner sleeve. Isn't that nice? It's just so good. We got Manfred Mann on here. There's some John Mayer, country funk, some soft rock, Amboy Dukes, 2001. It's just fun to see those things. Link Wray was born in 29, passed in 05. He was a Shawnee Indian, which made him even kind of something special. He was definitely a rock and roll guitarist, played rockabilly, a lot known for instrumentals. His most famous song came in the 50s. It was 1958, I believe, The Rumble. I mean, The Rumble was just one of those great instrumentals that even I know. And it scared people, believe it or not, this instrumental. New York and Boston wouldn't put it on the radio because they were afraid it would create gang violence. Rumble. It's a song called The Rumble. They're going to play that. Probably afraid they'd pull a record player out, set up the speakers, pop on The Rumble, get together, and let's fight to the song. It'd be a West Side Story kind of thing happening, maybe. But there was fear. We still have fear on our music to this day, don't we? Just speak to Public Enemy about this. This came out in 1971, though, so Wray was trying to find his way, I would have to say. And this was different, and really at the time it just kind of went into obscurity and sank because it was more country rock. And just it wasn't well received by his fans. You do hear this fuzz guitar going on. It's subdued, though. It's pushed back. It's not in the forefront of the mix. But you have this kind of a backwoods gospel type feel that's going on this. And there is this gospel, and there's this country and blues. Really, it's a country rock album, quite honestly. But you do hear, the rest of some of this other stuff going on. There's a song that's called Jukebox Mama, and it has like this out of tune piano. I mean, you listen to the piano, I can even tell that baby's not in tune, but it was meant, I believe, to sound that great and to sound that way. And it did. It sounded pretty neat. I'm going to take a track called Fire and Brimstone, and you can hear his fuzz guitar really rips into this thing, but again, it's subdued and kind of pushed back. What you really hear is this rhythm that's going on with a drum, a cowbell, and a Coke bottle, and they're just clicking away. Almost remind me of Zydeco a little bit. Just this rhythm, the rhythm going on, and the hitting of these instruments. Really, it was kind of a neat thing. This was one of these albums that my first listening, I got why people, hey, it's Link Wray, okay, what's it going to be? Because I didn't know. I did not know what to expect on this. I was expecting all these guitars. I go, huh? And Link Wray's singing, quite honestly, I don't think he's a great singer. I can see why he did more instrumentals. Maybe was bigger on instrumentals. But repeated listenings, I began to like this album. I mean, my first thought was, I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. And that's why you got to listen to albums, a few times, because if you don't, you're going to miss out. And for me, this was one that I would have missed out. There was, let's see, Get Out West was another one. And in that one, God Out West, man, he releases his guitars very much. Really nice on that. So really a country gospel type feel. Cool thing. First record store day I picked this up. This is the Menzingers. They're out of Scranton, Pennsylvania, home of the TV series The Office, U.S. version. Formed in 06, still going on. This album came out in 2010. It was a re-release, 570 of them. Ooh, I got one. I'm not sure if anybody else really cared. I liked it. It's a punk rock band. And at times they rip apart. It's nice. Let's see. Look at this. Kind of what came out, the poster when it came out. So at least they gave you a few extra. I appreciate when they do that. I think record store days should give you extra. Here we're coming in, something special. Let's do something special with it. Nice white vinyl on there. Really nice. This is just kind of, they have sing-song choruses, kind of fuzz guitars going on. And the lead vocalist really has kind of this attitude, that snarl happening, kind of fierce. So I like this. It was just, shall we say, punk, hardcore, and folk at times. At times it really gets kind of a folk sound. When the lead vocalist starts to scream, I can't understand what the hell he's saying. That's just old age. Final one is Don and the Goodtimes. These guys came out of Portland, 1964, broke up in 68. This is a 1981 reissue of, what's that called? Piccadilly? Piccadilly. There we go. So, there, one of the leaders, his name was Don Gallucci. He was actually in the Kingsmen. But he was only 15 and wasn't able to tour, so he formed his own group. And so he got this group together, and they brought in guitarist Pierre Ouvel. It's a French name, can't do it. But he was from Paul Revere and the Raiders. And then some other guys, obviously, they formed this group. And this is their Good Time Rock and Roll. And I'm trying to think, this came out in 1966. So they formed this group. Well, they wanted to make their own special, I thought I had a picture of them, but I don't. They wanted to be special. So, you know, the guy from Paul Revere and the Raiders goes, you know what, we need to dress up. So they wore like formal attire, suits and top hats, and that was their deal. Because, you know, Paul Revere and the Raiders dressed up, we got to dress up. You know, they do like the Sonics, they do the Witch from there. And, you know, their next, I mean, you can hear Louie in this. It's garage rock. I would say it's middle of the road garage rock. It's not my favorite. There's some great songs. There's kind of some throwaways. You know, you definitely have that feeling. I think the title track, the High Heel Sneakers, is a fun song. You can hear like a girl group vibe going on. So you hear the influences of garage rock, definitely. I didn't hear a lot of originality within it, though, you know, they make some of their songs and a lot are covers. But just fun. I'm not sure. You know, I just one of those things. Hey, what's that? Let's give it a try. Let's find out. Yeah, I'll probably keep that one. That's my update. I'm trying to keep her down. Oh my God, still went long. Really appreciate you watching. Thanks for coming in. Really, hey, it's going to be a great week. Hope you guys have a good week too. Enjoy. Hope you like those samples. Thanks so much, everyone. Oh, the Beatles thing, part 2 coming this week or next week. It's coming soon. Bye.